G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning up in the north side of the map, we have got the Mister, who is playing as the Holy Roman Empire to the opposite side of the map now. We've got another player who has spawned in the color red. Who could it possibly be? Lidicor.
It is indeed B. This is the second time we're using that pun over here.
Yeah, but it's a different video, so it's fine. It's fine, Lidicor. Those guys in the last video, they didn't see... They didn't see nothing. They don't remember it. Sorry. Do go on.
Oh, yeah. So are we reutilizing jokes from every single video? That actually makes my life very easy because I can just throw in my terrible dad jokes every single video or every single game.
That is so lit-a-core of you. Lit-a-core of you. Lit.
Yeah, it's lit.
This is terrible.
It's lit for sure. Alright, we got some scouts moving in here from Mista though. B is likely gonna get that dock up since we have no more animation cancelling, thank goodness. But that villager is in a little bit of danger over here because he's very far away from that town center. So B, despite the fact that, you know, he's got the well-defendable fishing eco with the fishing shields being able to shoot, he decided to move this dock all the way to the corner instead of just placing it close to his town center.
Yeah, pretty interesting strategy that he's going out for. Mystic going to be matching that as well. So spotting out the double dock for both of these players, or at least a single dock for both of these players, which turns into a double dock when you add them both up, because 1 + 1 = 2. Yeah, no real differences of the game at this point in time. We do have double scout, or I was going to say double scout opening. We've got a single scout opening now for B. We've got the same thing that looks to be happening for Mister, with the exception of the fact that he is going for the double scout. So opening up with a dock and a double scout, that seems a bit greedy, don't you think?
Indeed, it's a little greedy, but if there is any civilization that has a good enough economy to afford this, that is going to be the HRE. You also have to consider that not only did he add one extra scout, he also had to add a prelate, so his villager count is slightly lower. Of course, if you micro that prelate effectively, it's going to pay for its price quite fast. And look at those walls from Mista. He knows the deal. And that is what we talked about before this game. If you go for fishing against the Delhi, you have to respect their abilities of pushing you. And where are the shorefish droplets for Mista, if I may ask?
Oh, that's a yikes, isn't it? Yeah, who knows? Maybe he's used the wrong biome again. Oh, I probably shouldn't say that.
I mean, the thing is that at this point, this is not something that's necessarily worthy of an admin restart because he has fish to work with and it's not even a low amount. It's just the fact that the dock is very far away. I wonder if there were some droplets over there and he wanted to place the dock next to them. And by placing the dock, he accidentally deleted those droplets because that could explain a lot of things out there.
It's a pretty big dock to get rid of all those droplets, especially the droplets on the other side of the river as well, because it is barren in there. I mean, I see that there's water, but it's looking like it's a bit of a desert, to be honest. There's just absolutely nothing. On one side, we've got 2 fishing droplets, or spigots, I guess you could call it. On the opposite side, we've got 4. And compare that over to his opponent, 3DB, who sits down here safely with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get the point. There's a lot. It's like quite literally about 20. There's a big difference there, but I don't think it's a serious impact. As long as he's got one that's relatively close, that's all that's really going to matter, at least initially. He's going to notice that less and less. And by the same token, we see that B is beginning to transition onto other fish spots as well.
Indeed, as you said, it's all about having just 1 or 2 droplets out here, and strictly speaking, if Mista scouts the lack of fish on that area, he could have placed his docks a little closer to the edge of the map. So this is just partly the fact that he placed that dock fast and he didn't really scout the entire area out here. It's not ideal, but it is what he can work with, and now he's coming in with quite a lot of walls, in fact. Not only is he walling both of those crossings, he's also cross-walling the entire land section. Makes me wonder if he just wants to wall out his opponent from the possibility of grabbing those sacred sites, because especially if you're playing the HRE here, especially if you want to go for that fast castle style approach, you don't want a Delhi messing around with those sacred sites.
Oh, I've had somebody from chat right now. I'm going to give them a big shout out because I think they've identified what the issue is. So Spiranoa has said, it is because the town center is spawning too close to the water. So what is happening is there is apparently a radius around that town center, which is going to prevent the spawning in of fish. And so if you go and have a look on 3DB's side, take a look where his town center spawns, and you can see it spawns a little bit further away from the coastline, but the same thing is represented over there in that you can see the edge of what would be a circle around there. So who knows? Potentially that is what we are seeing right here with the town center spawn being a bit close and as a result, Mister not having any fish that he can really take.
The interesting element of that is that in most cases, the player spawning on the northern side of the map is usually closer to the water and closer to the edge of the map. So if you look at those generations, mostly the player up north is closer to the water and also more towards the corner, whereas the player on the south is a little bit closer to the southern corner, so not the eastmost corner, where you would expect it, but also a little further away from the water, so that could also play a role. Feudal Age is in here for B, and he's popping off Sanctity as you would expect. Other side, Mista, no Minework Palace for him. Instead, he's going to place a perfect Aachen Chapel, empowering all of his workers.
I can confirm. I've done the math. I've got the protractor out, and I've calculated that unfortunately Mister has spawned significantly closer to the water than his opponent. So this is definitely a potential theory that we will look into. I will continue to follow this lead and see where it takes us. But for now, the only lead that I'm really worried about is that that B has got a significant score lead over Mister. I suspect it's probably because he's aged up a little bit earlier than him. But Aachen Chapel now going to be coming down for him. A beautiful Aachen Chapel as well, Lidakor.
And also the text, you have to keep in mind that the free text of the Delhi allows him to start researching technologies, and the way that the score works is that it has multiple components, one of which being the technology, and that is proportional to the amount of technologies you manage to research. And because B's got the free technologies, he already has gotten forestry, he has gotten probably wheelbarrow, okay, he's just now finishing that. So because of that, he's also grabbing a bit of a boost to his technology score, and that's part of the reason why his score is a tiny bit higher, although, as we discussed multiple times, score is not so relevant in such scenarios.
Now, one of the things I also want to talk to you about, obviously, yes, I completely agree. Score is one of those things you probably shouldn't look at too closely. But typically when it comes into a game like this, you've got the Holy Roman Empire coming up against the Delhi. This is the exact same matchup that we saw in the game before this. So game 4 in the series, we're now into game number 5. But the question, I guess, for me at this point is, what is B actively doing to prevent his opponent from gathering relics? Because Mister is doing an awful lot to deny him from being denied relics. So we can already see he's put down walls across the south side of the map. He's walled in one relic down here. He's got a second relic outside his base. He's going to be able to secure that one. There's also a third relic that's in the middle of the map, probably a little bit up for contention. But there's also another relic down towards the south as well that Mister's going to have to grab eventually. But he is walling up on the outside of that. But, it's going to be very difficult for B going into this to try and stop his enemy from gathering those relics, because that's really what it's all about.
Especially because, while it takes some time to build up that fishing eco for the HRE, one thing that gives you is a very good food economy. And we have to respect the fact that the Castle Age up and the Imperial Age up as well is very food heavy. It's much more difficult to acquire the food you need for Castle and Imperial than it is to acquire the gold, especially if the Aachen Chapel is affecting the gold miners. So by having that food eco set up for Mista, he's already able to go up to Castle Age, and he's not going to have a difficult time going into Imperial either. B is going to try and respond by capping the sacred sites, but we have a wolf beating down one of the scholars, the other scholar is being beaten up by a scout. Horsemen now coming in here for B though, to discourage that aggression out there, and this could mean B controlling at least one, if not 2 sacred sites.
Yeah, he's got to try and get these wolves, somehow use his command. Oh my, oh, is he going to do it? He's looking to get the wolves onto these, onto the scholar. Scholar having a little bit of inspiration there down towards this south site. But it does look like it will eventually go over towards B capturing up that middle sacred site as well. And you can see the resources really starting to build up now for B. On the other side of the map, Mister almost aged up now. 9 minutes and 8 seconds. Looks like it's going to be his age up time. Comes in, 9:09. Not a bad time right there. Dropping down that initial barracks, and we begin to see those prelates moving out. One in the center, one for the center of the map. Where is that first one being picked up? Looks like he's going for the safe one first. Sacred Site victory now on the way. Write it down, Lidakor. 19 minutes, 24 seconds. Make sure it's in the clock.
And look at that. There is the crosswall coming in here for B, which will make life a lot more difficult for Mista. Because if you think about it, now we could see him walling off the sacred sites, and it would actually be a lot more dangerous than for Mista. Mista trying to stop that walling from happening, but those walls are going up on the right side. And not only is it cutting off Mista from that relic, it's also potentially cutting him off from that sacred site. So this could be a little more complex for Mista than we initially anticipated.
Yeah, I think that he might not have done the math properly down towards the south. Up towards the north, it seems like this walling is going to be a bit of an issue as well. Now, there was a prelate that was moving out in the middle. I can only imagine it lost its life, unfortunately. But now it seems like B going to be going up to the next stage. House of Learning going to be the choice that he makes when it comes to going up. And now we see that forward wall coming out for B as well down towards the south side. So he is looking to secure this up even more. Villagers already out and wolves all over this map, really. There are so many wolves on this map, it seems.
Yeah, there's a lot of wolves out there, and now we are seeing the power of boosted training from the stables. That's what I wanted to say. I completely forgot the name of the tech out there, but efficient production it is, and that is something that we referred to in the previous game as well. It's just so impactful over here. You can overrun your opponent with a lot of horsemen here and just pick off those prelates, and that's exactly what we're seeing. B is controlling the sacred sites, and of course, Sacred Site victory is still just a distant dream, but it's also giving a tremendous amount of gold income for B here. Almost enough to compensate for a lack of Ragnit's Cathedral, and I do believe that B just picked off a monk here on the left side on that relic.
Yeah, he did. The Wallalol did come down. He wasn't really that close to it, so yeah, it wasn't a surprising result, but it was more of a last-ditch effort. The scout did a great job of spotting that one out, but now we continue to see the reinforcements beginning to trickle down towards this edge of this river. Up towards the north, we've got the fishing boats. So doing a little bit of long-distance fishing, but keep in mind, I mean, they are fishing boats. They've got a big gather, a big hull, I guess, to hold in. What do you keep fishing at? I guess they got a lot of nets on their fishing boats. You got 40 food, so you don't really need to worry too much about that long-distance stuff.
Indeed, you do not. And what else you don't have to worry about for B is now having the central area contested because he's got Lancers coming out and he walled off the left side. So suddenly, time is of the essence here for Mista because he's going to have to start working towards decapping one of those sacred sites. I think you said 19 to 15 as the Sacred Site victory. We've already had 2 minutes pass of that, so only 8 remains. Another Vollo attempt coming in here by Mista. Once again, will just be a little too late. It saves that prelate for the time being, but I would be surprised if this prelate makes it back home.
Yeah, so this is the third relic, I believe, that he's looking to pick up here, or is this only the second? This is only the second relic he's actually looking to pick up, and this is a little bit concerning because B has already begun picking up the relics on his own side. So we've seen the first one that he's picked up, managed to secure it inside the safety of that mosque. There's a second relic up towards the north. Actually, I take that back. It looks like the first relic that he had was actually taken down by a wolf. And he's sending out a second scholar to go out towards that same relic. And I think he's actually going to lose the second scholar. Look at this. Are you watching this?
Yeah, he doesn't have a piety, by the way. He's at 90 HP. On the middle area, we do have some interesting fights happening because we have a Hawk coming out from Mista, and we're seeing a Bagla added by B. Not a ship that you see every day. The consensus worst ship of the entire game, the Bagla making an appearance. Mista looks like he's gonna be able to pick up that second relic, but at this point, you gotta be happy if you're B with 2 relics and the sacred sites under your control.
Yeah, I would definitely be happy with that. I think if you can keep your enemy to having 2 relics, you're going to be pretty happy with that. Obviously, you know, you want to avoid letting them have 3 at all costs, but at the end of the day, you can't control the way the map spawns, and if your enemy's got, you know, a spawn that's good enough for 2 relics, then so be it. But if you can deny that third relic, you're going to do everything in your damn power to do that. And we now see B has picked up that relic down towards the south sacred site. That one has completely gone over. The relic in the middle of the map, I'm going to look for where it spawned. It has been picked up. So B has secured that one as well. And now it looks like B going to be able to have all 3 of those relics inside his mosque. The second relic now finally coming back for Mista. So all 5 relics have now been allocated out to their respective mosques and regnitzes. And now we can enter into the mid-game where we begin to see the way in which they spend these resources.
Now, Mista was thinking about Imperial Age here. He was banking up resources, but now he's changing his mind, going for the barracks play, opening up with quite a lot of spears. He's seeing those Lancers come in, and it makes a ton of sense for him to try and get some spears going. B wanted to go with a War Elephant out there, but that's a little too many spearmen to deal with. He's gonna need something to deal with those. Potentially a couple of Tower War Elephants or just archers, but he's not messing around. There come the elephants.
Yeah, I think this is a really smart move from Mista in this situation. A lot of people would be tempted to go up to Imperial, and I feel like if you did that, you would be playing with fire. you need to neutralize this sacred site. It's imperative. We're now up to barely 4 minutes to go until that next ding dings its dong. And, you know, once the dings start donging, it's already too late. Sacred Site does get neutralized. He is now free to go up to Imperial. We can see that he is beginning to stack up a significant amount of food here, and he's probably going to be heading up to Imperial within the next minute. But a very smart move there from Mr.
Yeah, that was a very smart move out there. Not so great of a fight here for B. I wonder if he's going to start adding demolition ships to try and deal with those infantry. He pulled back a Bugla. Here come the first 2 tower elephants, though, and you see that B is going to wall up to make sure the counterattack is not going to be a possibility. On the other side, looks like a fishing boat is trying to push that hawk. That was a very, very underwhelming fight over there.
Yeah,
for B.
He tried, the little guy.
Oh, there come the 2 elephants, though, and you gotta be careful here if you're Mista, because while the spearmen can swarm the elephants, those tower board elephants do a ton of damage against light infantry.
Yeah, they're looking to do pretty decently along this shoreline. The main thing he's got to be worried about, I mean, those fishing boats, it feels like they do a lot of damage, but really, they're basically like archers. You don't need to be that worried about them. But they shoot once every 1.75 seconds. It's not that bad. Actually, now that I think about it, it's basically identical to an archer.
Yep, exactly. Spearman number is still steadily increasing for Mista. Once again, he delays his Imperial Age a tiny bit, especially on the gold department. He's rather low. He's not really mining, and he only has 2 relics in the Regnitz Cathedral. And this actually buys a lot of time for the elephants to appear on the battlefield. And now that you have 4 tower elephants, you start to feel that urgency that has to kick in here for Mista soon, because, oh boy, elephants, especially when you have them in large numbers and being healed, this could be troublesome. Springles will be the answer, but they're not the old Springles that used to be so good against elephants anymore.
Yeah, I don't like this play at all. Mr. was able to go up to the Imperial Age. He had a very clear window, but now he's going to have a lot of trouble because B is starting to build up a significant mass of these Tower War elephants, and it feels like the only unit that he's going to be able to make to be able to counter this is the Knight, and the Knight's just not going to do very well at all, and unless it's got those elite upgrades. These War Elephants, keep in mind, they don't get Imperial upgrades, they don't get elite upgrades. These guys are basically Imperial units already, so Mr. going to be very, very careful right here.
Indeed. Luckily for him, the Imperial Age upgrade that the elephants can get is the crossbows upgrade on them, so their armor-piercing power is not so great right now, but if you start mixing in some of your own lancers, it could be enough, and you see that those elephants were hiding in the forest. Mista is unleashing them right now, but I'm not sure if this many spearmen is enough to deal with this many elephants, microing all the way back to the shoreline.
And that's exactly it. He's just going to micro these back to the shoreline. This is not a fight that you need to take right now, Mr. This is a big mistake that is happening. You've got scholars here on the back line. Honestly, if I'm you, wall up, go to Imperial, get some Knights out, get Bombards out. You're going to be absolutely fine, but you're just taking fights right now that you do not need to be taking. All of these elephants getting healed up by the scholars out here as well, and you're just losing complete armies that you just really don't need to be doing.
Not a single elephant was taken down. There was one at the bottom that was down to 42 HP that could have been killed. But ultimately, not a single elephant went down. I think Mista lost his entire army and he killed 1 or 2 lancers. And as you said, now the scholars can just heal up all of those elephants. And things are just piling up and they are getting worse and worse for Mista. Because once again, B can capture that sacred site. And he has had that sacred site in the bottom for a long time. And if you look at the gold income per minute, that has been far better for B for a long, long time. And that is going to have an impact on this game. Mista still in Castle Age, and now that Siege Workshop could be exposed to the elephants.
We are witnessing the march of the elephants right now. 3DB beginning this march, heading in towards his enemy's base. A single Hulk looks to stand here. A couple of fishing boats going to be trying to body block their way, not having a lot of luck, as both of those sacred sites now getting captured. And 3DB
looking.
The demo. Oh, there's a demo.
Oh, the demo is coming in.
And it sits there. And it waits. And it holds. And it holds. Holds. Hold.
Hold. Now the elephants have to retreat, though, because of the spears. This might be intentional.
This might be
intentional, forcing the elephants back.
We see that the demo ship's actually getting close to getting knocked down. It does indeed. A single Tower War elephant focuses it down. But now these spears going to be doing a decent job of focusing down the war elephants. It looks like Mr. trying his best to hold on here. He's having a bit of a tough time, though. These Tower War elephants beginning to run rampage through his base. He's looking like a tiny town in Thailand right now with the amount of elephants that are rampaging through here.
I think he just wanted to make those elephants retreat and then blow them up with the demos, but might have been a bit of an overthinking over there, because ultimately, the demos were taken down. And once again, the elephants are just not getting killed here. He's disengaging when the elephants are down to like 100 HP because those are getting healed. And now he's up to Imperial, but what for? Is this probably the worst time to go up? And the answer is there.
Yeah, the answer is definitely yes. He had a window in that early game to go up. He chose not to take it. He chose to reinforce. He chose to take these incredibly curious fights along the shoreline, and he gets punished completely for it. Good game going over to B. He played incredibly well. Delhi Sultanate, once again demonstrating its strength on these hybrid maps.
And it wasn't just about the fishing eco. It wasn't even a factor that your fishing ships can shoot. It was the fact that you have the free technologies, you have the sacred sites under your control. Even just having one sacred site is a tremendous amount of gold. And then the ability to just flood the map with horsemen. B was so effective when it comes to picking off those prelates. So not only is the fact that he's securing free relics for himself, he also managed to delay his opponent picking up his. So while, of course, Mista was able to secure 2 relics for Ragnitz Cathedral, it was, I think, minute 14, 15 or so when the second relic was delivered. So until then, he was only operating with 1 relic, which also delayed that Imperial Age, the Imperial Age that Mista needed to get to before he started taking fights against those elephants.
Yeah, and speaking of taking fights against those elephants, I'm trying to draw out some lines here on this final screen. It looks like about 55 population, military population, down to about 22 population, so losing about 33, 34 units in that battle. It doesn't even look like B actually went down. If we check the battle at the time, he barely loses a unit, so incredibly well played by him. I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to the next game because we are on match point, and B could potentially be potentially heading to Berlin if he wins that next game. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I encourage you, check out that one. It's going to be coming up in your pipeline. And more importantly, make sure you check out Lidicore. I'll leave a link in the description. Thanks for joining me, Lidicore. Let's get to that next game.